What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about Lucid, give you a quick overview of some of the data points, break it down on what is really moving it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So Lucid is down 5.24%, extending its kind of losses from yesterday, $2.67 the low, $2.84 the high. So as soon as the market does open, it tanks. That is a very clear sign that obviously entities bought puts within the first couple of minutes, and then they just unloaded their positions, and that's how they can benefit from their puts. So it's that's whenever any stock, even aside from Lucid, whenever you see it kind of normal pre-market and then just sells off, that is because it's linked to options. It is a little bit more of a different story if there is data points, but today there was absolutely nothing whatsoever. So these are some of the data points that came out today. Like I said, nothing really crazy. So yeah, it's another interesting day that I think just the whole EV sector is stuck in limbo, because there still is that $7,500 tax credit on the table. Some people are speculating that's going to be taken off within the next week. Just the outcome and the future for EVs is just a big question mark right now. So I think it's not macro standpoint that's really moving Lucid, rather than just Trump. But 63.1 million shares being traded, 100.5 is the average. So you are seeing a lot of volume, but unfortunately, a lot of this is coming from algorithmic trading, and you can tell that based on a lot of the barcoding right there. No actual news associated to Lucid, no SEC filings, even on social media, not all that much in post, not all that much in speculation. It's just a quiet period. You see some individuals bringing up how there is new promotions associated to the peer, so they're trying to get rid of old inventory. But aside from that, though, not all that much. Shorts are definitely pouncing today, so increasing 3.31 million shares. 19.1% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 227.61 million shares overall are being shorted. Cost to borrow average is a little bit lower than yesterday, so 1.06, and then cost to borrow minimum is 0.09. These are annual rates, not daily rates. So if someone wanted to short Lucid, it is very, very cheap to do so. So sometimes some stocks that I do cover, I think 𝗖𝗎 is a very common one. You actually have brokers out there trying to stimulate some buying and physically paying people to short whatever stock, such as 𝗖𝗎 or whatever. But yeah, I think there is one broker there trying to drum up some business. So I think there's just a lot of hate for Lucid, and it's very unfortunate. But remember, last 3 weeks of December, so from December 13th to December the 31st, there was roughly around, I think, 50 million shares that shorts returned. So that really did aid in, kind of helped Lucid move higher. But I think it looks as though they're starting to gain some momentum and bring the short interest back up. So let me know your viewpoint on that. And even just generally looking at this teal line, they just recently started to hit it hard. So yeah, maybe they're acting on some information or not. I'm not really sure. But aside from all of that fun stuff, though, looking at the options, 1.01 million in calls, 649,000 in puts, 52% of all the options being done are optimistic in nature, a little bit low for the volume. So today looks as though it's going to settle probably around the 1.9, most likely 2.1 yesterday, and then 1.5 the day before. So I think just options and Lucid, just people aren't really doing it as much as they once were. So that kind of does signal a little bit more of a negative sentiment overall. But aside from all that, though, of the call options that are being purchased, you see a consensus for it to be above roughly $3. So the optimism for $4 and above seems to have gone away, even encumbering the week of their earnings. So February the 28th, you're not really seeing that much activity. So I think a lot of people are just at the stage of show me. You need to now yourself prove to investors that you're actually making a improvement. And I know I've mentioned this a couple times, but it is all going to come down to what they give for future guidance. Make it or break it. It literally is that. And hopefully Peter feels the pressure and has been getting all of this stuff together. So supply chain, so there isn't going to be any issues for or disruptions in production throughout 2025. It will be seamless. Hopefully this is going to be the best year that Lucid has ever had. So again, something to kind of consider. And you do as well see this right here. So a random one, so 1,000 was purchased for the January 16th, 2026 $5 chain. So some people are anticipating for it to really move higher by that point. The bears are anticipating for it to be sub 250, so more of a further breakdown. And I think some of that is linked to the technicals I'll go over in a second, but these are all the transactions occurring on the secondary market above $100,000. So you had some buying first thing. That's kind of what kept it, for the most part, afloat for the first minute. And then regrettably, shorts probably hit it hard, and then as well algorithmic trading kind of took over from there. But these are again all the transactions that did occur on the secondary market. With it right now at 271, it is trading between this pivot and this S1. So it did unfortunately break below this 287, so that does kind of signal more of a pullback, regrettably. So 231 is going to be the next strong support, followed by $1.96. Flip side, 287 and then 342 are going to be the following resistance points. No new analyst ratings, nothing along those lines, so it is kind of just piggybacking off of the negative EV sentiment, if that makes sense. But today's pullback, it did break it below the ALMA 100 and also 200-day moving averages, and that has been largely the saving grace ever since beginning of January, for the most part, even actually a little bit earlier than that. But the next big real strong point to watch for is, conveniently they're both together, so the super trend and also 50-day moving average. These 2 points right here, if Lucid is to break below that, as I mentioned in my video yesterday, anticipate roughly like a 25 to like 40% pullback. That's historical. That's what usually always happens, similar to what happened in September. So September, when it was roughly around that $4 range, and then it kind of stayed there up until 247. So yeah, between roughly around that 40% range for the most part. So definitely Lucid really needs to stay above that, and maybe that's actually Shorts' plan. They really want to hit it hard to bring it below that 50-day moving average, and if it does break below this green line right here, that super trend, then algorithms are really going to hit Lucid hard as well. So I think yeah, it's going to get very interesting. So your sentiment is going to be tested once again. I think Lucid's very good at that, testing investors' patience. But I think hopefully bigger picture, like I said, with their upcoming earnings, Peter will be able to reconfirm their plan, their goals through very good, hopefully 25,000 production guidance. And then I would assume at least 15 of that associated to the Gravity, even though they've stated that they're going to start out slow. It just wouldn't make sense, I guess, for them to not fully ramp up on one and then already at the end of this year launch a second variation of the Gravity. It just doesn't make sense all that much. But one final thing though, it is considered very oversold. So potentially, if they do put out something of substance, then you could see a rush of value investors, and it doesn't actually have to just come from Lucid itself. It could be from a macro standpoint. So I think right now, in a macro standpoint, what's the biggest thing affecting EVs is Trump. So if he comes out and says, hey, I'm not going to touch that 7,500 credit for right now, I think that the EV market might benefit. And Lucid does, again, as I've mentioned, does benefit from that through leasing. So Lucid could just kind of prioritize on the leasing going forward up until, let's say, the second variation of the Gravity and also the midsize, which would qualify for it. But Lucid could, if they are diligent, really move their business plan around to benefit from that. So yeah, let me know your viewpoint on Lucid. Are you buying the dip? Are you selling? What are you doing with Lucid? And generally, what is your thoughts on shorts increasing this amount just in one day? Do you think it's unjustified, or do you think it's their bigger plan? So don't forget to hit that thumbs up. And then one final thing, pop over to my Patreon, link in the description below and also the comments. I give buy signals on stocks, options, and crypto. Many of them have been absolutely on point and bangers, so definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.